From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 9 o'clock news.
Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Russ Riesinger. Tonight, another urgent plea from health officials and also from business owners for people to do their part to prevent the spread of COVID-19. The Billings Chamber held a virtual town hall this afternoon, and those watching heard a sobering assessment of just how serious the situation is becoming and what could lie ahead in coming weeks right here in Yellowstone County. Business leaders got an update from County Health Officer John Felton, Billings Clinic CEO Scott Elner, and others as they talked about steps they say must be taken and now to ensure the health of both people and businesses. The way we're headed right now with the numbers, businesses could very well be forced to reduce capacity to 50%, not the 25% Felton said earlier this week, but even that would be devastating. The situation is also becoming dire for our hospitals.
There's so many businesses that we do business with that if we're not in business, they're out of business as well. So we really got to do our part to keep things together because we can't afford to go backwards. There's no programs left, run out of time, run out of money. And I know right now there's going to be a lot of restaurants that aren't going to make it to the end of the year under the 75%. So we go down to 50, we go down to 25, they're not going to make it.
I think until you've had a loved one, family member, friend, or yourself go through this, you don't realize how bad it is. It's about as serious, if not worse, than what we saw with the HIV crisis back in the 80s. And people just don't know how to react. People are scared. Our health caregivers are scared. They're worried that they may contract the virus.
Elner says they're expecting 150 to 200 more hospitalizations in the next 2 to 4 weeks if things keep going like they have. They've even ordered what's known as a reefer truck. That's a refrigerated truck where bodies are stored. The chamber is asking all businesses to take a pledge to have as many employees as possible work from home, something we are doing here at Q2 in order to try and lessen the spread. About 50% of all cases do come from the workplace. Well, County Health Officer John Felton announced this week the rate of infection in Yellowstone County is unsustainable. Today, the 1 week average of new cases per 100,000 people stands at 41. If that number stays above 40 by the end of the month, there will be those restrictions on restaurants, bars, and other areas where people congregate. Well, today, hospitals across the state released their current capacity and bed numbers. That data shows St. Vincent Healthcare almost full and Billings Clinic not far behind. St. Vincent showing it had 45 COVID patients. 9 of them are in the ICU. Well, Billings Clinic reports 43 COVID-19 patients, 18 of them tonight in intensive care. Both Billings hospitals have their own COVID-19 protocols, and so far they have been able to handle the increased need for medical help, but it's starting to take its toll. Q2's David J. touched base at both facilities today.
Here at Billings Clinic and over at St. Vincent Healthcare, they're seeing an increase in COVID-19 cases. We had a chance to talk with doctors from both hospitals about how that challenge is going in treating patients.
The care that the patients are receiving continues to be exceptional. The staff are stretched. They're working incredibly hard. You can feel the strain based on how sick the COVID positive patients are here at our clinic. One thing I will say is that people are working together. They're working collaboratively in order to find solutions in order to meet the needs of the patients when they come in.
It's definitely put a stress on everybody. It's put a stress on us, somewhat emotionally from, handling all the new cases and seeing all these sick people. From a resource standpoint, sure, it's stressing us, but I think we're handling things well. We've had some amazing people working to come up with what are our contingency plans when these numbers do hit this.
I will say that it does matter out in the community if patients are masking. And if people in the community are following the guidelines, it does help with easing that burden of patients coming to the hospital.
Because the numbers are blowing up like this, it's starting to touch everybody. I think just about everybody's got a close friend, family member, coworker, somebody's getting sick.
The doctors say it's important to follow the protocols, not just for COVID patients, but for everyone who visits the hospital. Russ?
All right, thanks, David. Both hospitals have been able to tap into their network of hospitals, and St. Vincent has brought in nurses from Colorado who have already dealt with the COVID peak there. State health authorities announced 615 new confirmed COVID-19 cases today as the state death toll also reached 206. The latest confirmed COVID-related death reported out of Yellowstone County this morning, the state's largest county, now reaching 70 total deaths. Missoula County reported 106 new positive cases, followed by Flathead with 98, and Yellowstone had 88. There are now nearly 5,600 active cases across the state. More than 11,000 Montanans have recovered. Michigan and FBI officials have arrested 13 men they say were plotting to kidnap Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer. Law enforcement authorities say the men are all part of local militias and now face charges of conspiracy and terrorism. Michael George has more.
Good afternoon.
Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer spoke out for the first time after officials revealed 13 men had spent months planning to kidnap her.
I knew this job would be hard, but I'll be honest, I never could have imagined anything like this.
6 of the men are facing federal charges for their plot to snatch the Democratic governor from her vacation home. According to the criminal complaint, they even discussed assassinating her, writing in a message, quote, "Have one person go to her house, knock on the door, and when she answers it, just cap her."
Members of this conspiracy on 2 occasions conducted coordinated surveillance on the governor's vacation home. According to the complaint, discussed detonating explosive devices to divert police from the area of the home.
In a separate plot, 7 members of a militia group called the Wolverine Watchmen face state charges for planning to attack the state capitol and kidnap law enforcement and government officials, including Governor Whitmer.
All of us in Michigan can disagree about politics, but those disagreements should never, ever amount to violence.
Whitmer accused President Trump of purposefully inspiring hate groups, most recently during last week's presidential debate.
Proud Boys, stand back and stand by.
Hate groups heard the president's words not as a rebuke, but as a rallying cry.
One of the men accused Whitmer of having too much power. She's been criticized for imposing restrictive measures in response to the coronavirus. Today, Whitmer defended her stay-at-home orders that have since been lifted. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
Still ahead on the MTN 9 o'clock news, we're going to take a closer look at one of the most contentious issues. It's getting plenty of attention in Montana's hotly contested Senate race. That's health care. And as we take a look out at the lights of the Magic City on this Thursday evening, Bob McGuire will join us next to tell us what's ahead in the forecast.